I'd like to call the meeting to order. It is April the 15th, Wednesday at 7 p.m., and this is our regular meeting of the Ottawa City Commission. Could we have the roll call, please?
Mayor Reed.
Present.
Commissioner Skidmore.
Present.
Commissioner Jorgensen.
Present.
Commissioner Dickinson.
Present.
Commissioner Kaler. Present.
Okay, thank you, Carolyn. We are all present and accounted for. I would like to welcome everyone who's in the room with us this evening. We have a full room in the chambers, a full house in the chambers. I appreciate that. I also like to welcome anyone watching on Government Access Channel. And I think we've been upstaged by the Royals on KOFA, so they'll be playing that later. So tune into that if you want to hear it again. We'll begin the meeting this evening with the Pledge of Allegiance, and that will be directly followed by our invocation, which this evening will be led by Reverend Dale Stratton from the Pilgrim Bible Church. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we come to you this evening with hearts of gratitude that we live in a free land and that we are afforded the blessings that we realize as Americans. We thank you, Lord, for our town and for those who lead it, dear Lord, and give it the guidance and direction that we need. We ask that your blessing would be upon them, each one. Give them wisdom for the decisions that they need to make, we would ask, Lord. And we ask for the new one, Carolyn, Lord, that you will bless her in a special way as she takes up her responsibilities, and we'll praise you for all that you do. Again, bless this meeting in a special way. Bless each city employee. And we thank, dear Lord, again, especially of our law enforcement, our firefighters, that representatives here, dear Lord. Give Chief Butler the wisdom he needs, and his men, the fire chief, Lord, and just be with them, undergird them, strengthen, and protect them, each one. Now bless in the business this evening. Amen.
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 Thank you, Pastor. We'll begin the meeting with our consent agenda, and this evening that includes not only our agenda but minutes from the March 4th and April 1st regular meetings, as well as the March 23rd and March 30th study sessions. And also I'm going to read to you reappointments to city boards and commissions, which includes the following boards and commission members who have agreed to be reappointed to another term on their respective board or commission. And that includes Ruth Ann Wasco on the Accessibility Advisory Board, Claudia Gibson on the Board of Zoning Appeals, Rocky Evans on the Construction Board of Appeals, Kimber Korn on the Library Board, and Liz Rush on the Library Board. So do I hear a motion?
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner,
I move that we approve the consent agenda, including the reappointments to city boards and commissions.
is there a second?
I'll second.
The consent agenda has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. So the agenda has been approved, as well as minutes and reappointments. That will move us to our regular agenda and public comments. Do we have anyone registered this evening?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so I will dispense with reading of that paragraph. And then that will take us on to item 10, which is declaration. And so at this time, I'd like to give commissioners a chance to declare any conflict or communication they've had that might influence their ability to consider today's issues impartially. Hearing none, we will move on to new business. Item number 11, please.
Proclamation recognizing April 24th, 2015 as Arbor Day.
Under comments, as a Tree City USA designee, the City of Ottawa takes special notice of Arbor Day with the planting of a tree. J.R. Doherty, Tree Board member, will accept this proclamation, and the proclamation will be read by Commissioner Jorgensen.
Thank you, Mayor. It's a great privilege that I read this proclamation. I remember as a school child going to school in South Dakota. My teacher was from Nebraska, and she brought this what I thought was new, a program, the Arbor Day program, to us. And then later on, I lived in the Nebraska National Forest, which they claim is the only hand-planted national forest in the country. So it has special meaning. And the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday, called Arbor Day, was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska. Whereas Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world, and whereas trees can reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource, giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. Now therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas does hereby proclaim April 24th, 2015 as Arbor Day in the City of Ottawa, and urges all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, and urges all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Signed this 15th day of April 2015 by the Mayor, Linda Reed.
Dory? She wants to get your picture there, and you can have the podium if you'd like to say a few words to us.
On behalf of the Ottawa Tree Advisory Board, we'd like to thank the Commission for supporting our tree-related activities. Annually, the City of Ottawa sponsors an Arbor Day poster contest through the Arbor Day Foundation. This year, unfortunately, due to many factors, we were unable to participate. We hope to resume that activity next year. To celebrate Arbor Day, we would like to invite the Commission and the public to our tree planting dedication ceremony for our new nursery site. Saturday, April 25th at 11 a.m. in Kansas Park. We are also starting a volunteer program to try to get more community members involved in planting our trees in Ottawa and beautifying the city. We hope everybody can please come and join us on Saturday the 25th. And on behalf of the Ottawa Tree Advisory Board, I thank you for recognizing Arbor Day.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, item number 12, please.
Proclamation recognizing April 2015 as National Poetry Month.
National Poetry Month seeks to highlight the extraordinary legacy and ongoing achievement of American poets, to introduce Americans to the pleasures and benefits of reading poetry, to bring poets and poetry to the public in immediate and innovative ways, and make poetry an important part of our children's education. Kansas poet Wyatt Townley will accept the proclamation. Oh, and I'm sorry, the proclamation will be read by Commissioner Kaler.
Thank you. And the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the Academy of American Poets established the month of April as National Poetry Month in 1996, and whereas National Poetry Month seeks to highlight the extraordinary legacy and ongoing achievements of the American poet, introduce Americans to the pleasures and benefits of reading poetry, bring poets and poetry to the public in immediate and innovative ways, make poetry an important part of children's education. And whereas, as National Poetry Month, under the leadership and direction of the Academy of American Poets, is now the largest literary celebration in the world. And whereas, poetry enhances and enriches the lives of all Americans. And whereas poetry, as an essential part of all the humanities, affects every aspect of the life in America today, including education, the economy, and community pride and development. And whereas poetry has produced some of the nation's leading creative artists and has inspired other artists in the field such as music, theater, film, dance, and visual arts. And therefore, we, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, does hereby proclaim April 2015 as National Poetry Month. in the City of Ottawa and calls upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all the people of Ottawa to observe the month, celebrate the cultural riches in our community that our community has to offer, and to recognize the important role poetry has in creating and sustaining this great nation with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. Signed this the 15th day of April 2015 by our Honorable Mayor Linda Reed.
And Wyatt? And do you want to hold off just for a few minutes, and we'll let you have the microphone after the next proclamation, if that's okay? Because we're going to move right on into item 13.
Proclamation recognizing Wyatt Townley.
And this proclamation is to recognize Kansan Wyatt Townley for her honorable service as Kansas' 4th Poet Laureate. Ms. Townley will accept the proclamation, and Commissioner Dickinson, who helped facilitate this evening, we are very honored to be able to have Wyatt with us this evening, and so I'm going to have him read the proclamation, and then we'll turn the microphone over to you.
I had the pleasure of meeting Wyatt last summer as part of the Swan Arts Festival, and watching her second year of the Poet Laureate program through Facebook and other programs. And so when I contacted her, I was really excited that she could be here, and I was reminded that her term comes to the end on May 1st. And so I had the opportunity to study under the first Kansas Poet Laureate, Jonathan Holden at K-State. And so I was familiar with the program, and I contacted her, but we put this together for Wyatt since she was here. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas Poet Wyatt Townley has faithfully served Kansas as Poet Laureate for the past 2 years, from 2013 to 2015, as representative of the Kansas Humanities Council, and whereas as a 4th-generation Kansan, Wyatt sought to explore the concept of home as a Kansas value, using poetry as a vehicle for discussions throughout the state about what home is, what poetry is, and how they intersect, and whereas Wyatt has promoted the humanities through poetry, including throughout the state, traveling more than 10,000 miles to more than 68 organizations, including the 2014 Swan Arts Festival in Ottawa. And whereas Wyatt's dedication to her charge helped Kansans embrace the necessity of the literary form and remind us that, in her own words, poetry is a place we can return to in all kinds of weather, with its innate power to heal and comfort, transform and inspire. Its porch light is always on. Now, therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa does hereby recognize Wyatt Townley for her honorable service as Kansas' 4th Poet Laureate and encourages the citizens of Ottawa to join in this recognition. Signed this 15th day of April 2015 by the Mayor, Linda Reed.
Once again. Thank you so much, and you have the microphone.
Thank you. Thank you. And can this be heard? Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Mayor Reed. Thank you, Commission. And I'm just delighted to accept these proclamations. What a surprise. On the behalf of the Kansas Humanities Council, the state of Kansas, the great state of Kansas, and the great state of poetry in Kansas. Especially today, I think, Tax Day. I think we need a little poetry on Tax Day. And my father, God bless his soul, was a anti-tax lawyer, and yet he felt that the IRS tax code was among the most beautifully crafted text in the English language. Pure poetry, he would say. This is not the first time I disagreed with him. So I brought a new poem. It's a short poem, it's a formal poem, it's a villanelle, which is a French form, and for those of you who have not written one lately, 19 lines long, 5 triplets, and then a final quatrain. 2 rhymes, A and B, so very simple on the ear for the reader, hard on the imagination of the writer. But here's the trick. The first and third lines, the first line of the first stanza falls down to become the last line of the second stanza, whereas, lots of whereases in these proclamations, I notice, the last line of the first stanza tumbles down to become the last line of the third stanza. And so those first and third lines continue to somersault down the poem. This is like a no fourth wall theater here. But they tumble down to end subsequent stanzas till they finally plummet to the bottom, become the final couplet, and are married. So it's a very gymnastic form. It's rigorous form, and the job for the poet is to make those first and third lines resonant and multifaceted enough that they can apply as they tumble down the page and the poem unfurls in different contexts. We shall see. We shall see. I've never read this in public. It's poets like to spend a lot of time by their windows, I think. I certainly do by mine, and so this is the view in my world. It's called A Changing View. The birds are circling, searching for the nest they built last week, but now the tree is gone, and so the view has changed. Who says less is more? The squirrels especially are stressed, halting at the stump, zigzagging the lawn. The birds are circling, searching for the nest, and so are we. Every night we undress and blunder into bed with a weary yawn. While the view has changed, we love no less. We lose some hair, we lose some weight, and yes, our bearings in the long hours before dawn. Like birds, we're circling, searching for the nest that marked our place in the sprawling wilderness of years and all we've bravely undergone. The view keeps changing, changing. We're breathless, flying to that long-lost first address, whose distant, brilliant porch lights always on. The birds are circling, searching for the nest. Our view will change again to limitless.
Thank you. We needed that. Okay, we have one more proclamation this evening, and that is item 14.
A proclamation recognizing April 12th through 18th as Volunteer Week.
Ottawa Volunteer Week this year is April 12th through the 18th. Volunteers provide much-needed assistance and support to many local organizations and businesses. Lindsay Finchman, Director of Community Engagement for ECAN, will accept the proclamation. And the proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the entire community can affect positive change with any volunteer action, no matter how big or small, and whereas volunteers can connect with local service opportunities through over 50 community service organizations in Ottawa, and whereas Ottawa benefited in the past year by the following: over 5,200 individuals served over 50 community agencies. Over 160,000 hours were volunteered with these agencies. The value of volunteerism in and around Ottawa totals more than $3,608,000 annually. And whereas during this week, all over the nation, service projects will be performed and volunteers will be recognized for their commitments to community service. And whereas volunteers have the power to fight the pervasive feeling of social disconnection experienced by 81% of Americans, especially young people. And whereas volunteers are vital to our future as a caring and productive nation. Therefore, we, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, does hereby proclaim the week of April 12th through the 18th to be Ottawa Volunteer Week in the City of Ottawa, and urges citizens to join the effort and to celebrate volunteers in our communities. By volunteering and recognizing those who serve, we do promote unity and fellowship, increase community awareness, and inspire by example, fostering a community of understanding and compassion. Signed this 15th day of April 2015 by the Mayor, Linda Reed. And is Lindsay Finchman here? I was afraid that maybe she hadn't made it, so we will make sure we get this over to her at ECAN, and I know that she will be at a luncheon on Friday, so I will take this to her and present it there as well. Okay, then we would like to move on to item 15, please.
Recognition of Bill Ramsey's service as interim Public Works Director.
Mr. Bill Ramsey has served as our interim Public Works Director from April 2014 to March 2015, and our city manager, Richard Neinstedt, will make this presentation.
Before I get to you, Bill, will you stand right here? Thank you. Bill's my friend.
I don't work for you anymore.
In my 8 years here, we have done some pretty unique things. I've had many firsts. This is the first time I've had a Kansas poet laureate at the city commission meeting. Thank you, Sean. I appreciate that. Thank you for blessing us and honoring us with your talent. Thank you, Brent. Bill doesn't work for me anymore, so let me, that is a true statement. I'm not sure that Bill ever worked for me. But a year ago, I was looking for, we had a change in Public Works, had a retirement, and I ran across Bill, who I'd actually known off and on during the course of our career. And Bill has some really very good qualities about him. The first one is his wife, Andrea. Okay? The second one is, although these kind of vie for first place, he is a good Emporia State graduate. Okay? And the third one is, he actually started his career as a city manager in Harrington, Kansas, a small Kansas town built around railroads like Ottawa was. So I met Bill up at Gardner in a little coffee shop up there, Common Ground, and we kind of talked through this, and Bill says, you know, I don't like to work full-time anymore. Just coming off this deal, and I have this house down at the lake, and I said, that's okay, and I have to go, my wife and I are traveling. I said, that's okay. And he says, I'm going to do some things with my kids and I have a son going to Dartmouth. And I said, that's okay. Everything's okay. You don't have to tell me the rest. So Bill agreed to come down here for 6 months. And he stayed 6 months longer and didn't even ask for a new agreement on that 6 months. But here's what Bill did for us. Bill kind of helped us with that transition between the previous director and Michael. Bill really showed us how we could think out of the box and some things that we could do. We had done that, but it was an area we needed some help in. And Bill really headed up and helped make successful when we refunded bonds a year ago, over $1 million rehabilitation project that you were kind enough to say, let's take those proceeds and let's do that. But I am sincerely grateful for my friend Bill Ramsey being here. And we are better because Bill came down here and did this. And Andrea, I want to thank you because I know that thank you for giving me Bill. I appreciate that, but I try not to interfere with his life. So, Bill, I have a little plaque, and I mean a little plaque here. There's a reason for this, and you'll see it later on in the meeting.
Oh,
So
okay.
it doesn't mean that I don't love you, okay? But this is in appreciation of William A. Ramsey for his service to the city of Ottawa as interim Public Works Director, April 2014 to March 2015. And one last thing. Here, you can take that.
Thank you.
Thank you. And one last thing, this is a personal comment. Andrea and Bill are first-class individuals. And you are a product of your mothers, and that is a compliment to both of you. So thank you very much, Bill.
Thank you. I'd like some rebuttal time here. But thank you, Richard. It was a privilege and an honor to come down and work with Richard, to serve all of you. You were a delight to work with, and quite frankly, I spent more than 35 years in public service in local government, and I want to compliment you as a commission. You were one of the most professional, one of the best groups who was truly concerned with the benefit to the city and the citizens. And you need to understand that doesn't happen everywhere. But thank you for this. I do want to acknowledge folks like Laura and Lisa who actually run the place. You know, Richard and I show up, and Lisa tells me what to do, and Laura comes in and straightens me out. So they were great. The department heads are wonderful folks, very skilled and professional. And most of all, I want to acknowledge the field crews that are out there. They are the grease that keeps this going, and they are highly skilled. They are a bunch of really good people, dedicated, and worthy of every resource that's put there to help them, because it comes back many times to the citizens of Ottawa. So with that, thank you. It's been a little longer than we anticipated, but that's okay. I enjoyed every minute of it, and thank you for doing this evening.
Well, Bill, on behalf of all the city commissioners, I know I speak for all of us, and we say you came to us at a time when we very much needed you as a city, and so we appreciate all the hard work and all the hours you put in for us, so thank you so much. Okay, item number 16, please.
Request for approval of back-end parking trial.
This is, Wendy Lee's going to present this, and our city staff is proposing a trial for back-end parking on Hickory Street on the west side of City Hall. And I have to say, I am excited about this. We saw this at a conference several years ago, and we talked even then about bringing in a trial of it. So I'm excited to see this. And I don't know, Wendy, are we going to be able to make the PowerPoint?
Well, we're going to watch a
work?
video.
A video?
My other material has some technical difficulties,
Okay.
but the video is going to work.
Okay.
So. Let me turn the light off.
Does this look familiar? Backing into traffic on a busy road is something drivers face every day. Well, Austin is working to make parking safer. Here's how it works. Back-in angle parking is one step easier than parallel parking. Simply signal the traffic behind, pull past the spaces as you would with parallel parking, and back in. Loading packages is safer here on the sidewalk. And open doors block you from busy streets. And the best part, when you're ready to leave, it's easy to see oncoming traffic, including bicyclists. In Austin, bicycles are a popular way to get around. Bicycle lanes around town help protect cyclists from the flow of traffic. But drivers backing out of spaces blindly create potential for a collision. Back-and-angle parking helps remove this danger and has proven effective not only in the cities across the U.S., but right here in Austin. For over a year, drivers and cyclists on Dean Keaton Street have safely shared the road. And new to 6th Street business, owners Jim of Swedish Hill and Brad Fortney of Fortney's Antiques say they have seen the benefits too.
Love the fact that I can now load people's cars on the safety of the sidewalk. We don't have to worry about major amount of traffic. I like that when they're finished and ready to leave, that they can comfortably depart whenever the traffic's clear. They have a full view of the road and so much safer.
I've been here back in Austin 17 years. I never parked on 6th Street. It was dead-end parking. I park out there all the time now. It's changed. It's different. It was a little hard at first, and now I'm used to it. And most of our customers have gotten used to it and really like it.
So Austin, as you encounter backing-angle parking around town, remember, it's easier than parallel parking, and more importantly, safer for everyone who shares our roads.
Okay, and as you said, Mayor, this has been something we've talked about before. Originally, locally, it came up when we were looking at the Connect Ottawa plan, which was a plan to connect more parts of our community to downtown, and that had a lot to do with bike and ped improvements. And one of those, when we looked at the bike lanes, was one of the barriers to bike lanes in angled parking areas is that it's unsafe to back into them because you don't have a sense, you don't get enough warning that something's coming before you're backing into a bicyclist. And so the question was raised even then in our surveys, what did people think about it? And there was some interest, and we weren't sure about that. But then since then, it's come up in the Healthy Communities initiatives. People have started demonstrating it around the state, and Topeka has even installed this. So we started talking among the administrative team about how could we do this, could we test it somewhere, and decided that really what we thought would be appropriate would be to test it right here at City Hall. Then we, the administrative team, has to do it every day. But it also would give us the opportunity to allow our citizens to try that as well and get a sense of how it would work. I do want you to know, Jeff Seymour, who's in Austin this week, actually texted me a picture yesterday. He tried it in Austin from the video and said he managed to get it after the third go. He didn't have any accidents, so we're happy. I told him I thought I could do a little better than that. So we have a slight temptation to a wager here about who can do it in shorter numbers of tries. But we're going to give this a try with your approval. What we do have technical difficulty is showing you the image of what we were going to do. But these first two sections here next to City Hall on both sides of the street would have the back-end parking. We would put up 6 to 8 signs with flags to alert people. On that video, it showed you what the sign is, which kind of shows you how to back in. And we would use those signs. National Sign is going to produce that. They've done it elsewhere. This is not, I mean, it's new to Ottawa, but it's not new. And Bill just told me that with the trolley car improvements in Kansas City, that's actually what they're going to do there as well, to make that whole area more safe and while they have all that new activity going on. So that's our plan. I'm happy to answer some questions, and we'll give it a try. It looks like we'll probably have it installed mid-May. I think we'll probably want to try it for at least 60 days, and then we'll get back and talk about it some more. We're planning to put some things on our Engage site to let people kind of feedback on that as well. So,
Mrs. Lee, how will you be gauging the success of
well,
this
hopefully
project?
Richard and I's cars don't have lots of dings in them. We always park right here, so I guess we'll gauge it a little bit by a couple things. Are people using it? Because if they're not using it, that would tell us that there's something about that is awkward. It's really no more of a backing movement than backing into parallel, and I know some people don't like that, but that's kind of a similar way is how they talk to you about it. I know that I personally here have had times when, just because of the traffic related to both City Hall and the library, pulling out can be a challenge. So we'll gauge it by our own experience. We'll probably have some survey work out there, like I said, online for sure. And subjective, just the feedback we get at the counter, or as people want to tell us, or as they want to share with you how that went for them. And then we'll consider, is there some other locations we could do this, and how and where.
I had a question, Wendy, we're just going to do the west side of Hickory to start with? Or
No, we
both
have to
sides?
do both sides of the street in
Okay.
order for you to
For
be
it to
able.
work.
Yes.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because otherwise it'll create confusion about,
What?
what we're doing. So it'll be both sides of Hickory here in this first 2/3 of the block.
Okay, and I do like that description about like parallel parking. You just keep the angle until you get to the curb and stop. So
Yeah.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah. We really think for families and young children that this is also a good thing. That video doesn't show that, but some of the others do, because when you open the door to let a child out, they're directed back to the curb. So I do want to mention that that's another opportunity. we
Yeah,
think
that
of.
was one of the things they talked a lot about, because that's the first thing a little kid wants to do, it seems like, is run for the street. And if the door is there, it kind of keeps them from doing that, so. And like they were saying, loading and unloading is a big deal too. And for people that have accessibility issues, that have trouble getting in and out of a car, it also is easier because of that same reason, so.
Right. Don't have to go behind if they need to
Right.
get something out of their trunk.
Right.
So.
You mentioned Jeff Seymour. I think we should remember that he learned to drive in Oklahoma, so that might.
I know, actually,
That might explain.
that came up today, actually, that surely if Oklahomans can do it in 3 tries, we can do it in 2.
I do want to say too, I've heard from some downtown Main Street businesses that they'd heard that we were instilling this all the way down Main Street
Oh,
immediately. And I just wanted to clarify that we're not, this really is a test. This isn't a push to do it here and then just keep pushing it. We really do want community feedback to try this out and to see how it works and
Right.
to really give it a good chance.
And we know it's new, so it's obviously uncomfortable. We're okay with it, it's uncomfortable, just for the fact of being new. So at least try it before you decide it's not worth doing, and maybe more than one time.
And that's the important part. It's a trial. If it doesn't work, we can take up the stripes or sandblast and
No
go
harder
back the
to
old
take them
way.
up than it is to take them up right now.
That makes sense to me.
Just as, I know you already brought this up, however, I just want to make sure that everyone hears it. We are not the first ones to try this in the
No.
state. And there are other places that are actually using it on a permanent basis.
Right, that is correct.
Such as
Well,
Topeka.
Topeka has theirs, and then we understand
Yeah.
Kansas City does. I don't know which
Right.
other cities in the metro. But as cities have looked at both how to be more accommodating to their citizens and for bike ped needs, this is becoming a significant trend. It certainly has been working inward. In the planning field, we've been talking about it 5 to 7 years. So it's not new, it's just something that until you start looking for it, you may not have even noticed it yet. The studies really do show a significant reduction in accidents. So aside from sort of the other how to get in, keep from getting into the traffic lane, the reduction in accidents is what statistically has proven it to be an effective way to enhance parking in a busy area.
Any other questions for Mrs. Lee before we take action? Then I would like to hear a motion, please.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner.
I move to adopt, I can read this, amend the resolution as described on item 17 of the agenda.
We will do that one next, if you could
Did I do
make
the
a
wrong-
motion for
16?
16.
16?
He's anxious to get through this.
Okay.
For it'd be the trial. It would be
Let's
the
try
trial
it.
for, yeah.
I move to try it.
Let's try it, okay, there we go. It's been moved to do the trial version of back-in parking. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded for the trial of back-in parking approval. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, could we have the roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
I vote yes, the motion carries. Thank you. And that will move us to item 17.
A resolution to request approval to amend Resolution Number 1648-14.
And this is a proposed amendment to the resolution relating to the issuance of the city's industrial revenue bonds. And Wendy, oh, he disappeared for a moment.
Good evening again. Sorry, I would have gone back. I didn't realize I was covering this one as well. Scott and I both have worked
Oh,
on this
okay.
particular project. But this is is an incentive that we agreed to in our development agreement with the Price Chopper project. And because of some timing issues relative to their change in ownership sale, we need to amend the resolution that was previously passed. And as you recall, this is an industrial revenue bond opportunity for them as a way for them, it was just to meet that final gap, that final little step of what they needed in order to make their project a reality.
Okay. Any questions for Mrs. Lee? Then I would entertain a motion.
Now?
I defer to Commissioner Jorgensen.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner.
I move to adopt the resolution as described in item 17.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the resolution to amend Resolution 1648-14. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, can we have the roll call vote, please?
How do you vote, Commissioner Jorgensen?
Yes.
Commissioner Dickinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kaler?
Yes.
Commissioner Skidmore?
Yes.
Mayor Reed?
I vote yes, the motion carries. So this also moves this right on up to, I think, the point that Blake was ready to get to. So I do have a plaque here that's a bit larger than the one that was discussed earlier. And I want to say just a few words before I bring Blake up here. And I believe that Richard probably will say some after that. And then we will turn the mic over to Commissioner Jorgensen. But we have a plaque here that says, in appreciation of Blake C. Jorgensen for 10 years of service as City Commissioner, City of Ottawa, from 2005 to 2015, including 3 terms as mayor, and those were from 2007-8, 2009-10, and 2012 through 13. And also, he served 2 years on the Planning Commission prior to that. So Blake has put in 12 consecutive years of service to the City of Ottawa, not counting years that were not even official on here. And I guess what I want to say is Blake has always led with great dignity in each of the positions he was in. He's been a strong leader. He speaks up at appropriate times. He speaks his conscience and his heart. When he knows something is, believes something to be right, he stands by that and really speaks to that. And that, I respect that in him, and I know we all appreciate that in him. You should never all agree. That's not the what government is all about. You need to be able to, get to the core of and do the right thing. And Blake is always able to help us do that. Oftentimes, he will go back and research issues and get more information and make us all think about it. So I also appreciate that in him. So Blake, I will like to invite you up, and then I'll let him speak, maybe Richard, and then if you want to speak after that, will that work okay? So I want to present a plaque to you. And I'm going to turn this up. If you want to be able to speak from here, I'll step back. So I want to thank you so much for your 12 years of service to the City of Ottawa.
Thank you.
So get it there.
I may sit back in my seat
Okay,
here.
however you want to do it that's comfortable there.
Well, thank you. I guess eventually I'll learn how these meetings work and get the hang of things. I really haven't prepared a lot of comments this evening, and 10 years, 12 years is a long time in a personal life. I know I looked at my picture here from my first term on the city commission, and I did not have any gray hair, and I seem to have a few right now. My kids were ages 7, 11, and 13 when I was elected, and now I've got 2 out of college, or almost out of college, and a junior in high school. I would like to recognize, before I forget, my wife and partner that's in the audience. She's been my wife for 27 years. 27 years. I don't have my calculator, but I sincerely appreciate her allowing me to serve the city. It's been a privilege to be in public service of this community, and I think back to some of the things, some of the larger things that have happened during the term that I've been part of this team up here. Is I think one of the first things is I got my name. I'm not sure how my name got on it, not Commissioner Gillette, but on the plaque that's at the swimming pool. I got on after it was dedicated, or about the time it was dedicated. So I always thought that his name should have been on it, because he was one of those that went to Washington and were responsible for bringing the money back. Some other things, I served 2 years, and the mayor pro tem that was supposed to be mayor the next year was defeated in an election by one of his students that he mentored in the youth and government program. And I was lucky enough to receive the most votes at that election, so I immediately went into mayor, not really knowing what the heck I was doing, and kind of muddled through it. And shortly after I was mayor, a building fell down on Main Street, so that was not a good start. The next time I became mayor, we had a flood. Several houses in Ottawa were flooded, and I was beginning to worry. And some of those have worked. Also, when I was mayor the first time, American Eagle had their ribbon cutting, and I was lucky enough to speak at that ribbon cutting along with I'm not sure if he was governor at the time or not, Parkinson or. But it was that was a great honor, as well as the groundbreaking for the new 59 highway. But when I ran originally, I wanted to make Ottawa a place that my kids would consider coming back to, and one of those things was quality of life issues. And so I'm very proud of getting the sidewalks next to the high school and getting those in. Also, the park improvements during this time. I was part of the leadership committee back in 1999, 98, sometime in the late 90s. We would put a new playground in City Park, and then with the work and the hard work of this commission and the city staff, we've been able to put playgrounds in Kansas Park and in Forest Park and other improvements throughout town. So I feel very proud about that, and this has also allowed me to work on a state level with other communities. I was privileged 3 years ago to be elected as the part of the governing body of the Kansas League of the League of Kansas Municipalities, which is a state organization of city commissions and city officials throughout the state, 500 member cities as part of the state. And what really has led me to do is to be able to visit with other communities throughout the state. We really have a beautiful community here, and we're very lucky to have a community that works well together and has a lot to offer. And so I'm very proud to serve the community, very proud to work with these folks and with the staff that we have. Very proud that I was mayor when we hired Richard Neinstead to be the city manager. So there's been a lot of great things that I think happened, and I was just lucky enough to be here to be part of it. So thank you very much.
So just a little, Bill said that Laura and Lisa run this organization. Would you, Blake, will you hold your plaque up again? So this will tie back to you, Bill. So I said I'd like to do something for Bill with Laura. Well, what would you like to do? Well, I said, well, a plaque would be fine. He could put it up with his other 115 he has on the wall. So, well, what size would you like? I said, I'd like one like this. And she says, now listen, you cannot give Bill one the same size as what we're going to give Blake. So, Bill, that's why you got it.
Thanks, Laura. Yeah. Anytime.
My friend Blake, first of all, I can't say enough about what I think Blake's leadership skills are. And I will tell you in the 8 years I've been here that I have never doubted I've worked for a number of commissions, like what Bill said, where the true north for the elected officials has been in this community. It has always been for the citizens. It has always been for the betterment of the community. It has always been about moving forward, making things better, putting a place together that our children would feel comfortable to return to someday. And Blake's been a large part of that. Blake was part of that commission that honored Rita and I with the opportunity to come to Ottawa, and we have never regretted that decision. I've been in some communities where we did regret that decision, but never here, and it's because of the chemistry that the leadership of Blake and Gene Ramsey, Deb Hennison, Rocky Fleer, those people have brought to the commission. My friend Blake has been there through some personal issues, family issues. He was there during a time of great personal loss to me, and I hope I was able to return that to Blake when that happened to Blake, because that's what a community is about. And I just want to say thank you, Blake, and so does Finn. He says thank you. But thank you for your service. Kelly, thank you for letting us have Blake. It is, in large part, it is about the support the family gives to us, those of us who serve, not only as appointed officials, but as elected officials. So thank you very much. We appreciate it. Thank you, Blake. Thank you.
This is the point in our meeting when we have two re-elected commissioners and we have one newly elected commissioner, and I'd like to invite Mrs. Sharon Geist to come on up. And if I could, Sharon, if I could have you stand with Sean and Sarah. Am I at the right place on the? Yes, I am. Make sure I'm at the right place on the agenda. We will have the swearing oath for the three commissioners.
First to stand.
If you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me.
I, Sarah Kaler,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of City Commissioner
and faithfully discharge the duties of City Commissioner
for the City of Ottawa, Kansas.
for the City of Ottawa, Kansas.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, at this point in the agenda, I have just a few comments to make. I have tons of notes, but I am going to just speak off the cuff, I think. Last year at this time, I think is when I said really I wasn't going to say very much, because really it isn't about me, it's about the citizens of Ottawa. And as I was thinking about that again this year, I thought that is absolutely the truth. But I do need to speak about, it has been a very exciting year to be able to be mayor, and I have been privileged to be able to sit in this chair during that year. What a lot of people don't think about in a city of this size is this pretty much is a volunteer position. It's not like in a large city where you get the position and you're paid a lot of money and you're a true political position and it's your full-time job. Most city commissioners in a city this size truly have another full-time job. And so if I've missed any appointments I was supposed to be at or meetings as a mayor, I apologize for that now. But it's difficult sometimes to do both of those jobs all together. So I did my best to try to do that. And I have a very supportive current administrator and boss, and the previous one was as well, and so I'm very grateful for that. I have an extremely supportive husband and family, and also extremely grateful for that, so I definitely need to thank that. And as everyone else has said, I want to thank the city staff, Richard Neinstedt, and everyone else who certainly helps all of us commissioners and really just brings the mayor along and does all the work behind the scenes and does it all. But this city is so blessed to have such a dedicated workforce. And I believe that we came into the year with a very strong budget, put a lot of work into that budget as staff and as commissioners. We have such strong leadership within the city and continue to develop that even with our new leadership program. And so we have so much promise, had so much promise coming in and so much more going ahead. And so I'm excited for that. I believe that we are headed into even more down the road. And so I just want to thank everyone for the year, for the opportunity to be able to sit in this role and serve in this position. It's been a great year. We had tremendous cooperation between city and county and school board and economic development, and just saw some great achievements in those areas, and I was excited to be able to be a part of that. So those are my comments. I just want to make sure I express that appreciation to everyone that's involved with that. So this moves us to item 21, which is our point where we do a city commission reorganization. And so at this time, I would entertain a nomination for the mayor for the 2015-2016 term.
Madam Mayor,
Commissioner Kaler.
I would move that Commissioner Mike Skidmore be nominated for the mayor for the term of 2015 for the 2015-2016 term.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second that.
It has been moved and seconded to appoint Mayor Commissioner Mike Skidmore as mayor for the 2015-2016 term. And with that, I would like to take a vote of acclamation. So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. So that makes you officially as mayor, Commissioner Skidmore. And at this point, then, we will have you stand and take the oath of office for mayor. I'll go ahead and, yeah, I'll go ahead and have you move over here. I'll get out of your way. You can be in the official place there.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me, please.
Sure.
I, state your name,
I, Mike Skidmore,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I will solemnly
That I will
sorry.
support the Constitution.
I will support the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of Kansas.
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
And faithfully discharge the duties of mayor
and faithfully discharge the duties of mayor
for the city of Ottawa, Kansas.
for the city of Ottawa, Kansas.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Okay. Great. Well, thanks, everybody, for coming out. I just thought it'd be my wife and our two cats, so I'm glad to see a lot of people here tonight. So I didn't know. I have some friends from high school back there, Jerry and Gary. They threatened to come up during public comments and share some stories of what I did in high school and trouble I got into. I conferred with our legal counsel, but I have found out those things I did, the statute of limitations has expired. So, Chief Butler, you can stay back there too, it's okay. Glad for that part. Really, just a few thanks. I'd like to thank the Lord God above. You know, He's blessed me in so many ways, and just to be sitting here, it's truly a blessing. So I'm thankful for that. I'm humbled and honored to serve in this capacity. Of course, I want to thank my wife. She's been with me through thick and thin as well. Last 2 years of support, and I'm thanking her ahead for the next year ahead, too. I'll need her support as well, I know. A little over 2 years ago, I was considering running for commissioner, and I know we had a lengthy discussion one evening about the pros and cons, and should we not, all these different questions, and of course, tears started flowing, mine, of course. And the decision was, yeah, let's go ahead and try for it, and it certainly has worked out, so I'm very thankful for that part. I also want to thank Blake Jorgensen, too. I had called him also before I ran and asked him some of the ins and outs of the position, what's involved in all this. Of course, he lied. And, no, he didn't. he assured me what was involved in the job, and was very accurate in his description, I thought, and so he did a good job, and so I appreciate your support too, Blake. And I still don't know if Blake and my wife voted for me, but that's okay. It's okay, I didn't have to in that case. I've been thinking about some things I'd like to initiate this year, 3 initiatives I would call it. One is that we have rail trails here. We have 2 rail trails that intersect here at Ottawa at First and Walnut. One going east and west is the Flint Hills going 117 miles, and the one going north and south is about 60 miles, I believe. My personal preference is to go north from First and Walnut because that's only like a half a K to the train station. But we go 3 directions if you want to go long distance for your bike trails. And I'm thinking we can certainly promote that in the larger cities where people would come down from the city, eat breakfast downtown, ride the trails, come back, finish with lunch or supper, and go back. And we have a real gem here to promote. When 2 lines intersect, only can intersect in one spot, and that's at First and Walnut. So I think we really need to promote our bike trails, and I think we've got a real potential there. Second thing I'd like to initiate would be a housing task force. I'd like to get some people in our community involved to look at our housing. We only had about 5 housing permits, I believe, in 2013, and about 10, I believe, last year, and so far this year we have 2 or 3. And I don't know if it's a macroeconomic issue. I know we're still recovering from the recession. If that's what it is, and there's not a lot we can do about it except let time heal it. But if it is a microeconomic issue, something we can fix here, I'd like to look into that. I don't know what the answer would be, but I'd like to form a task force to look into it and report back to the commissioners and see, is there something we can do differently here? We have quite a few empty lots, and I think there's something there we can certainly promote. So housing task force will be one of the things I'd really like to look at. And last but not least, of course, is our new business park. I like the new name Richard gave to it for the business park for 300 acres south and edge of town. We have a genuine gem here. When we look at Ottawa, we're kind of at the apex of a triangle between Lawrence, Topeka, and Kansas City, and we have a 4-lane highway going north and south, a 4-lane going straight north, and a Super 2 south. We have the main line of the Burlington Northern going through town. We have a lot of potential here in this one location, and I think it's underutilized, and I think with our industrial park, our business park, it's a first step to really promote that and see what we can do with getting businesses to either relocate or expand to Ottawa. I'm thankful that we're going to be doing a labor shed study here shortly to determine what our labor force looks like and how we can expand that and educate them. I really like to bring in these higher paying jobs, and with that I think we can certainly bring a lot of potential here for our city. So I think it's a big event, a big thing to tackle, but I think in this next year we can certainly make a start and start looking. Hopefully our industrial park thing will start going vertical out there with our infrastructure and maybe get some sold signs out there. It'd be a nice sign. Also thought about today, 150 years ago, President Lincoln died. And I'm thinking that's quite a milestone to think back about it. And I saw a quote of one of his, and I wanted to read that to you. I think it fits within our own community government. It says, "The legitimate object of government is to do for a community of people whatever they need to have done, but cannot do at all or cannot so well do for themselves in their separate and individual capacities." I had to read that a couple times, but it really makes sense to me in how we work as a commission up here. I think about our constitutions, we the people, that first word we. It's not us and you out there and us up here. It really is a collective effort of everybody in our community to work together. Just last night with Chief Butler, we were honoring the volunteers in policing. These people go out and check doors and do some additional work for the police department, shredding, things on a volunteer basis. These people don't have to do that, but they want to do it for our community, and it's purely volunteer work. And the amount of hours they put in saves our city about $38,000 a year in salaries. And so that fits well within our volunteering and what they do, and it fits into our sense of community. And once they do that work, they have a sense of ownership and a sense of pride in our community, and it really helps everybody else out. So I'm really very thankful for that group and for many other volunteers we have in our community. I'm really looking forward to working with Richard and our department heads. We've got some tremendous new people starting this year, and I'm looking forward to seeing what we can do with them. Richard, I really appreciate your advice, and many times that you've spoken up and helped us out. There's been times when you started to speak and you stopped, and that was good too, but you have the good discretion, and I appreciate that. And Bob, appreciate your legal counsel, and you kept us all out of jail, so that's always good too. So thank you for your legal advice as well. I told you I'd be brief, and I've got to get home and do my taxes yet, so I don't want to spend much more time on this. But we do have some a wonderful crowd here. I really thank you for all coming out, and I'm looking forward to this next year coming up. It'd be great working with our new commissioners. I know it'll be interesting. We'll be having this first commission with more females than males up here. A fewer X chromosomes up here than we've had before, Blake, but that's okay. We honor your retirement as well, too. But just in closing, I just want to think about in public service. I went to high school, and Blake would have been about the same age, a little younger, during the Vietnam War. And to go into the military at that time wasn't a very good idea, I didn't think. But still, ever since that time, I had this tinge of guilt inside me that I never did serve in the military. And several other my friends have commented about the same thing at my age. And a tinge of guilt, I hope, can maybe slightly erode as I serve in this capacity, maybe. And maybe Blake feels that way now, too. With your 12 years, you'd be a second lieutenant, you realize. But I think there is something, too, as men, we want to serve and support our country. And maybe this will some way erode that tinge of guilt I feel in my gut for not having served. So I think I'll just leave it right there with that. And thank you very much. Looking forward to working with this great commission. And we'll see what tomorrow brings. Thanks. And now, my first duty. Oh, yeah, and then my first duty as mayor. I am pleased to be able to honor this to Linda Reed, our mayor, in appreciation of Linda Reed for her service as mayor April of 2014 to April 2015 at 8:06. So Linda, I just want to say thank you for your exemplary leadership, and you've shown me how to do it. I've watched you closely, how you do it, and you've done a great job as our mayor. So here's a plaque, and I think they'll stay on there. That's for you.
All right, thank you very much.
Congratulations. All right, next one on there. I guess next would be number 24.
Yes.
All right. City Commission reorganization. So we're going to need nominations for Mayor Pro Tem for the year of 2015-2016.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I would move to nominate Commissioner Sean Dickinson for Mayor Pro Tem for the 2015-2016 term.
Okay, there's a motion for Sean Dickinson to be our Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Okay, is there a second? Any discussion on that? All right, we will have the vote for that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Sean, you're Mayor Pro Tem. Let's have a few words. Oh, do that one first.
Yeah.
Okay. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Sean Dickinson.
Do solemnly swear
Do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Mayor Pro Tem
and faithfully discharge the duties of Mayor Pro Tem
for the City of Ottawa, Kansas.
for the City of Ottawa, Kansas.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
I'll make my comments brief and really make them brief, Mike. Thank you, commissioners, for allowing me to have this opportunity. We talked about it with Blake, and Mike talked about it as well. This position really does involve family, as we have happening right here. Not only my wife and boys, who spend a lot of time away from me when I'm at meetings, but also my parents, Scott and Diane, who, when we have to both be at somewhere, they are often the ones who have the kids and are taking care of them. So I thank all of you. The city staff has been brought up, but they really have become like a second family. The boys like their bi-weekly visits, and just Liam knows where all the candy dishes are upstairs. So we enjoy having them as friends and colleagues. And finally, Mayor, I think your goals are great this year, and anything I can do to help you, please let me know.
Good, all right. We'll move right on. Appreciate that, Sean. To report by city manager.
Well, commissioners, three things. First thing is, Congratulations to all of you. Congratulations, Commissioner Guys.
Thank you.
Welcome. Congratulations, Mayor Skidmore. Congratulations, Sean. Congratulations on your reelections and realignment. And our pledge to you, your staff's pledge to you, is that we are here to continue to help you achieve those goals for the good of our community. And changes are important. I was just sitting here thinking about the changes that have occurred over the course of the years. Blaine came in as, I believe, the youngest mayor in the state. And it was, I think, a long period in between there until we started getting some commissioners in the 20 and 30-year age group. Now, Blake looked awful young in his baby pictures I saw today when he first came on the commission. But what Commissioners Kaler and Dickinson have brought to this commission is tremendous. And I hope the community appreciates that with their youth and their energy and their way of looking down the road, which is something that we all do. It has been extremely helpful to me, and it's been extremely helpful to this city, and I have appreciated having that opportunity to help be a part of that change. It is exciting to think that for the first time in the history of Ottawa, that this commission has a female majority. I think that is exciting because there are different ways of thinking that X and Y chromosomes do. And I think it just goes to the message that we are trying to send the community, and it's a message that the community is trying to send us, that they embrace change. They embrace different changing. And now it's been a conservative change, but it has been a change that's been endorsed and said, we appreciate where you've been taking us. So give it good thought, move ahead, and continue to do what you're doing. And finally, Mayor Skidmore, service to this nation takes many forms. I have been blessed to have served this nation and this state and this country in several different capacities. And it is not always about serving. It's not about service in the uniform that's important. It is how we do service. It is how we serve our communities. It is how we serve our nation, how we work every day to make this nation, to make this state, to make this community the best that it can be. And service takes many different forms. And finally, that's four things. And finally, I always marvel. I've been a student of government. I've taught government. I am government. But I'm not sure that we have a great appreciation for how the change of power takes place in this great country. We don't do it at the point of a bayonet. We don't do it with tanks out in the parking lot of City Hall. We have a smooth, peaceful transition because we respect not only the rule of law, but we respect that when our community speaks and says these are the elected officials we want to lead us, that we do it, and we do it in a civil and a peaceful manner. So thank you all for the service that you give to this community, and I look forward to working with you over the next several years.
Okay, thanks, Richard. We'll go right to report from the city commissioners. Sean, you have anything more to add?
I got several thoughts here I've marked down. First of all, thank you again to Wyatt Townley for joining us this evening. It's kind of fitting because we also have two members of the board for the Kansas Humanities Council, Mr. Tony Brown and Bill Ramsey, who we connected with. And Bill, I thank you. We enjoyed your service, but throughout your time here, I realize we have a lot of more connections through arts and humanities and the Rotary and several other things. And so we'll miss having you around, but if you come down through the area, stop in and see us. If you didn't get enough poetry, I'm a good husband, and my wife passed me a flyer that she's about a library event coming up with another poet laureate of Kansas, Karen Miriam Goldberg. On April 30th, will be here in Ottawa doing an event with the library. And so it's great that it's happening during Poetry Month. And so come on out. It's photography and poetry together. So come and check that out. And two things about the election. One of them, we kind of mentioned already that we have a majority now of females. This election, I think it showed that our community is moving forward. 4 of the 7 local officials that were elected were women, and 4 of the 7 elected were under the age of, or 42 or under. And it shows that we do have young leadership stepping up in our community, both on the school board and the city commission, and I think that's exciting. And finally, a couple comments about Blake. He mentioned, I'm sure he's getting a little worried back there. He mentioned he's got a few gray hairs. I think I have more gray hairs after 2 years than his 10, so I'm worried about what's going to happen here in the next 2 years. But Blake has brought a wealth of knowledge and in many ways taught me how to be a commissioner, how to look at issues, and we'll continue to go forward keeping that at the forefront. One of the memories I always take away of Blake was last October, we went to the state convention for the League of Kansas Municipality Convention, and Liam became his best friend. And so if you're a friend of Liam's, you're a friend of mine, Blake. So thank you.
All right, thanks. Sarah?
You know, I have had the privilege in the 4 years that I've sat up here to serve with 2 gentlemen that have truly taught me and given me a foundation into how to do public service and do it at your best. And thank you, Blake, for being one of those 2. I always know that I could come to you and ask you questions. You have knowledge. You have a knowledge base beyond belief. I appreciate your wisdom that you're willing to share, not only with myself, but with the whole commission. And I think that you bring a calmness, or you brought a calmness to this commission in the 4 years that I was here. So thank you for your service. I do appreciate it. And that's the end of my comments.
Okay, very good. Linda?
I don't think I have anything further to
Nothing
say
more?
this evening.
Sure.
Well, this last week has been a real whirlwind. When I was elected a week ago yesterday, I think, I didn't actually anticipate that I would be sworn in so quickly, which shows how much ignorance I have. I've been doing a lot of reading this week and realize how much I have to learn as been reading through the governance handbook. I'm very excited to be part of this commission and looking forward to serving with each of you. So thank you for this opportunity.
Glad to have you here. I just have a few other comments. I just want to say I'm thankful we can start with the prayer in our meetings. Thank you, Pastor Dale, for the prayers and for all the other community pastors that come in and are volunteering to pray for that. So I'm always supportive of that. I want to say to Melissa, my daughter in Oregon, she's watching on the internet, and so Samuel and our granddaughter, Sweet Emma. So greetings and shout out to you for that as well. And just one final thing on Blake, too. I think we will miss him. We're going to miss his physical and his fiscal presence on our board. And so I think with that, I really appreciate that. We had a great time anytime we traveled and went out to eat together as a group. And we're going to miss your laugh. And that was always a lot of fun, too. So we'll miss that, but we got the great memories. So thanks for the memories. That is all I have. I guess we go back to the announcements. Just that study session, next 2 Mondays, the 20th and 27th. We have a regular meeting at 7 p.m. on the 6th, I think. And then that would be also, is that the time we have our pictures taken? So wear a clean T-shirt, everybody. And that'll be it. And then we got John Devine meeting with us on some occasions there later in May as well. So we will have some treats afterwards, so stick around. I hope my friends realized when I told you we're serving prime rib, I was just kidding. But we've got some nice food back here, so we'll adjourn shortly and everybody meet back here and have some treats. So thank you all for coming. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
I'll second it. We got a lot of seconds. Are you ready out
Yeah,
here?
everybody.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. You're adjourned.